everyone, and happy Juneteenth. But this is a late Juneteenth video. We have a special guest. My name is Samante Sims.
And my name is Ebony Tate.
And here we have Ben Ali, the owner of Ben's Chili Bowl, the writer of Ascend the Black Man's Guide to Elevation and Success and Purpose. He is the author of this book, and today we'll be asking him some questions for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So, Ebony, would you like to ask the first question?
Questions for
Well, no problem. I don't mind asking the first question. So, the first question we really have for you is, what is something you wish you could tell your 15-year-old self for good advice? Like, or even your 15-year-old self could tell you today that you probably wish you would have known and that you wish you would have learned earlier, or maybe, that you're happy that you learned today.
Yes, yes. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the program, and good morning, everybody. Yeah, if I had to give some advice to my 15-year-old self, for me, one would certainly be financial, right? To start, the earlier you start investing and saving, that's very simple. One thing, the earlier you start, the more money you're going to have. It's just the compound interest and the time value of money, right? So that early investing, the earlier you start, the more money you're going to have over time, because it's time working for you. It's time working for you. And so it doesn't matter how big or small the investment, just regular investing. So regular savings. I don't care if you're 15 years old with a paper route back in the day, right? Or working at Starbucks part-time. Save $10. Save $10 a paycheck. Save $20 a paycheck and put that towards you. And that principle is in the book. And it's called, and that chapter is called "The Cost to Be the Boss." Right? We all know you want to be the boss. And guess what? There's a cost to that. And the way that you get there, the way that you get to build your bankroll and be the boss, is saving and investing. And the principle is called "Pay Yourself First." If you're working for anybody, aren't you working for yourself? Right? Forget your employer. Forget the rent, or the mortgage, or the insurance bill, or the car note. You're working for yourself. And once you realize that you're working for yourself first, then the first person that needs to get paid is yourself. And that payment is not to go buy some new shoes, right? Or go to the club. That payment is that investment in yourself. And when you start investing early, like I say, no matter how small, and regularly, every paycheck, because you're going to start to buy a mutual fund or something that's very simple. It's not complicated. You buy a low-cost mutual fund. You can Google it. What are the good low-cost mutual funds to purchase? And that mutual fund is going to be buying little pieces of Nike and little pieces of McDonald's and little pieces of Visa and MasterCard and all the stocks that you know and love. So instead of you having to pick them individually, you can just start with a mutual fund. And once you set it up, everything is so easy now with apps and on your phone, very easy to do. You set it up, and it's just that regular saving and investing that will make you a guaranteed millionaire. Not a maybe one day I'll be rich, a guaranteed millionaire. All you have to do is do the math. If I save this much, every year with a 10% return, which is what the stock market normally gives you, about a 10% return a year, what will that money, your money is now making you money. So if you get out of the cycle of working for money and being able to do what you truly want to do with your time, this is the way to go.
You want to know what's crazy? I have a show that we've been watching. It's called Landman, and it's exactly what you're talking about. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't seen it, you give it a try. Give it a try. It's definitely what you're talking about.
Landman is a beast of a show. Yes.
Man.
So, yeah, it talks about generational wealth, and it's just going through the journeys of certain people that have been rich and successful, and what you do when someone passes away, and things of that sort. Like, they teach you so many things about faith.
And I want to say, listen, that was just one piece of advice. My 15-year-old self, I'd probably make it 10 pieces of advice that are equally important, because money. I'm not suggesting that money is everything, right? Your health is your wealth. So there are many things that I would say as a 15-year-old. Say, you know what? taking care of your body, marrying the right woman, not having kids too soon. There are lots of lessons there, staying out of your own way, meaning follow your guidance. Everybody knows from a very small age what's right and wrong.
Right.
Everybody knows. Yet we continually put ourselves in jeopardy. Right? We do things that we know we shouldn't do. We do things that we know are not good for us. Right? And why is that? So it's really getting into your mentality to understand how valuable you are. And if you treated yourself as very, very valuable, if you see yourself as very, very valuable, perhaps we would stop putting ourselves in harm's way, staying away from trouble. Because what I try to tell the young men today is one mistake, one reaction. You get angry and you swing on somebody or get into something, reacting, and you've got 20 years, right? You got a record. You ruin your opportunities. So the point is to say, value yourself, take a deep breath, find your peace, and think before you act.
Right. So we're about to get on to our next question. So, Ebony, take it away.
My next question for you is, how do you implement certain mental health principles and self-care principles on your children?
Well, first of all, your children see everything you do. So you're the model, right? You are the blueprint. They're going to imitate what you do, right? It's, what do they say? Monkey see, monkey do, right? But your children, you are the role model. So they're absorbing everything you do. So you cannot be hypocritical and say, I'm telling you to do this, but I'm not doing it, right? And there's basic habits. So guess what? If you pray with your children, right? If you pray before every meal, if you pray before they go to bed, if you're constantly saying a prayer with them, guess what they're going to grow up doing? Praying, right? If you go in there and brush your teeth with your children, right? Twice a day and floss and teach them, guess what they're going to do? Right? It's simple modeling, right? So it's just being that proper role model for them at an early age, right? If you go to church, you take them to church from the time they're able to go to church to teenagers. Guess what they're going to do? Even if they step away for it for a while, guess what they're going to end up doing? Coming back to the church.
That's crazy, because as you say that also segue into my next question as, do you believe men can be nurturers? Because in the world's eyes and society's eyes, they see us as providers and protectors. And when you see a provider and a protector, you see a person that is firm, that is always standing 10 toes, and that is always speaking from the diaphragm and speaking to you and not at you. So when you speak of that, like you say, modeling for men too, when we're modeling in front of our children and showing that expression of different type of nature, do you believe men also could be nurturers?
Yeah, absolutely. But I would say absolutely, but I'll say differently from women.
Yes.
Right? I'll say absolutely men can be nurturers and are nurturers, but differently from women. I wouldn't make it, it's not a comparison. Right? Men and women are built differently. They emote somewhat differently. And there's nothing that can ever take the place of a mother. But there's also nothing that can ever take the place of a father. Right? And so, you have to define, what do you consider to be nurturing? Right? I mean, I see many, many fathers who are very affectionate with their children. Many, many fathers tell their children they love them. Many, many fathers give good hugs. Right? And so these are all nurturing aspects, giving encouragement. And because you're giving encouragement doesn't mean you can't also find that way to give constructive criticism, right? Or to correct, and you're correcting out of love, right? So it's some of the intentionality of what you're doing. And again, the way that you get to all these things is by being your best self as a man. And so constantly working on being your best self, meaning finding your peace, right? Finding your purpose and living in your purpose, finding your spirituality, right? All these things are going to help you to be a better father, a better husband, more successful, and everything else. So what I always say is, there's a saying that says, when you're working on yourself more than you're working on your job, that's when you're going to be really successful. And that means, again, we are our own worst enemy, right? But we're also the answer to all of our problems. Exactly. So the book is really a book of self-reflection. and self growth, personal growth and development, to say continue to develop yourself. If you see yourself as that valuable commodity, that valuable thing that God made, and that He made you perfect, then continue to pour into yourself, continue to develop yourself, continue to become the best version of yourself. It's not unlike a basketball player, an aspiring basketball player, which we all were at one time, right? We were all aspiring, all the guys were an aspiring basketball, football player, and we were out there working on our game. And I'm going to get my handle nicer than your handle, and I'm going to get my jump shot better than your jump shot, right? It's the same thing. It's that passion of working on yourself, just in a holistic way overall. I'm going to work on my physical self. I'm going to get my body right by eating right, getting my rest and exercising, but I'm also going to get my spirit right. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to go to church, and I'm going to get my faith right. I'm also going to get my social life right. I'm going to be friendly. I'm going to be interactive. I'm going to learn how to network, right? I mean, there's so many sides of us. And so we call that the life wheel. And there are eight sides of your life wheel. And so you want to be a well-balanced person. It doesn't matter if you have all the money in the world, if you have no family. There's nobody to leave it to. There's nobody who's going to take care of you when you're sick or you're old. You got a lot of money. You're a very highly successful business person, and what else, right? Or any other
legacy at all.
If you don't have your health, it doesn't matter what else you got going on, right? You have all your family in the world, people love you, and all the money in the world. If you ain't got your health because you abuse your body, that's no good either, right? So the point is to be a well-rounded individual, and so God made all these different sides of us to continue to work a little bit and develop all of them.
I apologize.
No.
I was thinking exactly that is exactly what I was asking in that question, because a lot of people, I've talked to my therapist about also my path in fatherhood, and reading this book, it's helped me a lot in my path of fatherhood. I believe I'm on chapter 8 now, and when I read these passages in this book, I have seen also the steps I can take of nurturing myself before I can even nurture my children.
That's right.
Nurturing myself before I nurture my children is one of the most important parts, because it's saying, well, like the analogy of, when we're on an airplane and the mask come down. And I believe you said this in the book too. I have to go back and reread, but like the analogy, the mask come down. I can't put your mask on before I put my mask on if there's no air going on. I have to put my mask on in order to help you before I can put your mask on. And that, like you said, that has to also deal with your everyday faith. And when your everyday faith also has to deal with how you get up, how you associate your outlook on life, how you even perceive yourself when you talk to yourself in the mirror. So no, yes, I totally agree. It's two different levels when it comes to the gender, part of it. And then when you look at the gender, the general part of it, it's a whole, it's almost the same and still different. I don't know if I'm exactly making sense, but I totally agree.
Yeah, yeah, and for men, there are a lot of men who love their children, or who pour into or doing things for their family, self-sacrificing, but they're abusing themselves. They're not seeing their own value and their own worth, and that's going to translate into the kids. So it's something to warn against, but also just, again, so I say to men all the time, I don't care if you got locked up. I don't care if you dropped out of high school, you don't have a GED. It doesn't matter. None of that is taken away from your value. You have a God-given value. And so it's really in seeing that is the foundation for everything. If you really understanding what God gave you, and if you do an inventory of yourself, all of us, if you do an inventory of yourself and you see what an incredible miracle your mind is, what an incredible miracle your body is, what an incredible miracle your spirit is, the things it's capable of doing. And most of us are not even touching the surface of what we're capable of. We're not. And I say that comfort is the enemy. What's happened is we become too comfortable as Americans. As Americans living in this country, we are, everyone's got an iPhone, everyone's got some Air Jordans on, everyone's, got going to Popeyes, and there's no urgency for us to live our lives in a different way. At the same time, we're also too busy right? We're constantly distracted and too busy. So yeah, we're so busy paying the rent. We're so busy living this, comfortable life, or trying to get to this life of comfort. So that, what's our big goal in life? You know what everyone's big goal in life is for the most part? To chill. Oh, hey, you know what? I can't wait till I get to retirement. So you can do what? So I can chill. I can't wait for the weekend. Why? So I can chill. I said, well, that I get relaxing and that being a part of our lives. I say, but that's not the goal. The goal cannot be to chill. You're to fulfill your purpose in life and to have real fulfillment, to feel like you are being the best version of yourself, like you are pouring into others, like you are having these wonderful experiences. That ain't chilling. That ain't sitting on the couch with the TV on. If you want to globe trot, go globe trot the world. Go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Go visit every country. Go to every African village and learn folk songs. Live a life. Live a vibrant and full and complete and total life. Have kids and grandkids and go to church and pour into the church. Live a vibrant and purposeful life. Chilling is not the goal, or at least it's not my goal. I'm not going to tell everybody what their goal should be, but that's how I aspire to live. And I think that I just think that. I think some people can live a very simple life and find fulfillment in that. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, if you say, if you realize what you're capable of, it's like saying to me, I know a lot of my friends have nice cars. And I got friends who have Maseratis. I got friends who have Porsches. I got friends who have big Audis and Lamborghinis. And you know what? I'm like, you get this car and the speed limit 30 miles an hour. you got this car that's capable. I said, if I see that 250, I'm trying to go 250. 50. Right. Yeah. That's how I'm wired. I don't see anything wrong with that, from the standpoint of that's what the car is built to do.
Yes.
Why are you underperforming the car? Right? Yourself.
Save the baby from the room when I leave. Okay.
It's not what it's built to do. So we are built for so much more. So this book is for people who want more out of life. If you want more happiness, if you want more fulfillment, if you want a better marriage, if you want better relationship with your children, if you want more money, if you want more experiences, if you want to be of more service, if you want to truly fulfill your purpose and your potential, that's who the book is for. If you just want to chill, don't pick up the book. Go back to chilling. And if that's working for you, I'm not mad. That's what makes you happy. I'm not mad. But don't do it because you don't think you're capable. Don't quit on yourself because life beats you down and you say and you just say no, I'm good. No, I'm good chilling. I'm just going to chill here because I'm afraid. A lot of people living in fear, a lot of people living in self-doubt and imposter syndrome, and in all these issues of that's why they're living. They're not living out of confidence. They're not living out of faith in God and in themselves and in humanity. Right? They're living in fear. Fear of failure is a big one for all of us, right? I don't want to be laughed at. I don't want to be ridiculed. I'm not going to try because I failed at one time and everybody laughed at me. Right? No, we learn by failure. We learn by doing. So all of this leads to living a more fulfilling life. And when you live that more fulfilling life for yourself, it's going to translate into how you care for your children. Nobody's, if you can't love yourself, how's anybody else supposed to love you or to love themselves if you don't show them that model? Right? So you have to show that love for yourself and that building and growth of yourself, and it will translate over to those children. And the nurturing part, I know that we're taught a lot of the wrong things as men. Right, we're kind of taught that what you said is overemphasized, to be a protector, to be a provider. So, your value is not limited to those things, but that's what we're taught. And we are taught specifically not to open up, not to share. What do you say? Don't tell people your business.
Yeah.
Right? We're taught hold things in. Black men don't cry or men don't cry. Right. We're taught certain things that are detrimental instead of being helpful. Right. Now, and nobody's saying run around and cry like a baby. What we're saying is you have to find safe places, safe relationships, right, where you can vent and let out. But it's not about other people. It's really about yourself. And that, again, everything about this book is about your relationship to yourself and God, your place in the world, because you can self-heal. You don't need a therapist to heal. you can self-heal. And so it's being real with yourself. So some of the first chapter in the book is called Let Go, Let God, and it's on healing. And it's the intentionality of knowing, number one, I'm carrying baggage with me. And guess what? We all are. Every single one of us is carrying around baggage with us. And why are we carrying around baggage? It's like saying, I want to go jogging. Let me carry this suitcase with me. And guess what? You slowing yourself down. Right now, let me. Some people carrying whole barbells and suitcases. Some people dragging cars behind them. They got so much baggage, and then they wonder why they're not getting anywhere. Right? Guess what? You'll be amazed if you let go of that baggage. Just you cut the chain on that car that you dragging around with you. You'll be amazed how fast you'll be going and how far you'll be moving. Right? And how do you do that? Well, there are practices, practical practice for how to do that. But it starts with the intentionality of knowing I'm carrying baggage and I want to let it go. If you're sick, you have to say, I need to go to the doctor. I need to the hospital, right? You can't sit home and just say I'm sick. You may die in that bed.
Yeah.
So the same thing. You say, you know what? I'm carrying this baggage. How do you know you're carrying baggage? Think about your thoughts. If you're thinking about anything from the past that's negative, you're still thinking about that girlfriend who broke up with you. You're still thinking about your mom and dad's divorce. You're still thinking about that father who wasn't there for you. You're still thinking about the time you got locked up or the time you dropped out or the time whatever. The girl broke up with you. You missed a shot on the basketball game. Whatever negative stuff you're carrying around with you. Why are you carrying around with you? It happened in the past. Is there anything we can do about the past? Nothing you can do about it. It happened. It was real. You had some feelings about it. Okay, cool. Learn from it. Let it go. Let it go. It's as simple as that. Let it go. Now, how do you let it go? Well, one way is to let it go using your words. I acknowledge, there's a affirmation in the book talking about, I acknowledge my fear. I acknowledge the bad things that have happened to me. I acknowledge that I was abused or misused, or I acknowledge, and it could be as specific or as general as you want. You can write your own. I acknowledge it. I said, and I don't want to carry this with me anymore. And I'm letting it go and I'm giving it back to God. I release it now and I'm giving it back to God. I'm tired of carrying this burden. I'm tired of carrying these things on my mind. I want to let them go and I'm letting them go. I'm giving it back just by speaking. Our words have tremendous power.
Yes.
And by speaking it out loud, I'm giving this back to God. God, you take this. I don't want it no more. I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. It's not going to happen immediately, perhaps, but say that every day. It might take me a week. Might take you a month. Might take you 6 months. If you, just by saying that simple thing, you are psychologically, you're telling your brain you're letting it go. And the same way you say, if I tell my brain I'm gonna pick up this phone and I pick it up, right? If I tell my brain I'm letting that go, it's gonna let it go eventually. So so that's just a simple habit. You also carry a lot of these things physically. You carry them emotionally. So it's good to do something physical or to really feel it when you're saying this. You can scream that. You can pray for it. You can cry it out. You can punch the punching bag it out. Whatever you will find your own technique for what's useful to you, but get it out of you. Just the same way we talked about, the more things fester inside of you, the more you hold in, you just explode, or you're self-medicating. You're finding some way to deal with these issues. All you got to do is let them go.
And when you do those things and you start to do it so internally that as it explodes, it starts to become a physical form of manifestations that you may not even manifest it when you start to do that.
Well, it's all energy, right? Positive energy or negative energy. So if you're holding in too much negative energy, you have to let it go, or it's going to eat you up. It's going to tear you up inside. So, these are things. Another thing I do, I've developed a habit now. Listen, I was raised as a Muslim, right? I still consider myself a Muslim in many ways, but I go to Christian churches because they're easy to go to. They're very the great pastors and great messengers. So I don't argue with myself over that. So I go to Christian churches and I said, you know what? I was never physically baptized. I said, but that's what I do now. I said, I thought about what is a baptism? A baptism is washing away the past, the sin, anything you want to wash away, right? It's getting rid of things. And I said, and it's starting anew, right? What are you? You are born again, right?
Yeah.
So think about what that represents. So every day I get in the shower, I have a baptism. Every day I get in the shower, I'm going, God, wash this away. I washed away yesterday. Remember that girl who cut me off yesterday that I'm still thinking about? Remember that guy who wrote me the ticket I'm thinking about? I'm letting it go because every day we're accumulating a little stress, a little trauma. Let it go every day. You brush your teeth every day, right? There's certain things you do every day. I pray every day. I get baptized every day. Even if it's a symbolic baptism, I said, because it's helpful to me to let that stuff go. I don't want to think about it no more. Why am I thinking about it? I got the ticket. I got paid. Why am I thinking about it? I'm still mad. People are going, I'm still mad. What you mad? When people mad all the time. What you mad at?
What Cat Williams say? You gang banging over bacon?
Right. And people find the small, and then when you're carrying all that anger and you're carrying all that anxiety, the smallest thing will set you off. And you're interacting with somebody, and they're just going off. You're like, I didn't do anything. What's this person going off about? And then, but if you're carrying stuff with you, you're going to react to them. If you're balanced and at peace, you sit there looking at them like they're crazy.
Mm. True,
it could be your partner. What's she mad at? I didn't do anything to her. Oh, she's carrying with her. Something happened at her job, something happened, with the kids, something happened. So you could just, but you put it in its proper place. You can sit there and just be the listening vessel, but you're not internalizing any of that. So this is you again, keep your peace, keep your balance and so let the past go. It's a very simple lesson, but nobody teaches you how to do it. And these are just some techniques for how to do it. It may help you to some people chant, some people meditate, right? Some people take a hot bath and have a cup of tea or read a book. How do you let go? It's not for me to tell you what I'm giving you some examples of how I let go and find my peace. Is for everybody to find their own methodology. But the whole point about this program is raising awareness, raising consciousness, right? And intentionality. So if you say, I need to release stress every day because I build stress every day, just like I need to clean my house a little bit every day, just like I need to brush my teeth every day. Once you're aware of it, you just start to do it automatically. It just becomes a habit. And that's all we're doing is building good habits for success.
So, you want to ask the next question?
No, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, my next question is a quote from the book, and it's something that I would love your thoughts on. I would love your thoughts on. So it says, true healing requires pausing long enough to honestly assess the wounds we carry. What does that mean for men to you? And what does that mean for the Black community to you in today's world?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we talked about just now is knowing that you're damaged or that you're hurt or that you're carrying stress and anxiety and pains and recognizing what those are. So one idea would be to make a list. Make a list. No one's going to see it. Everything in this book is for you and you alone. You don't have to share with anybody if you don't want to, right? Or it may be helpful to you too. So that's for you. But make a list. Write down everything that's bothering you, everything that's repeating in your mind. Write it down. I'm so angry at my father. What happened? You can go through your life chronologically if you want. What happened when my parents, conceived me? What happened before I was born? What happened this? You can go into when you said the Black community, I still think that we carry pain from slavery. Right? I think we still carry that in us some kind of way. And as a Black person, people living in America, we still carry that with us. And so we talk about, and we try to make we try to make other people aware of it, right? Because it's awareness. You have to be aware of it. You have to confront it before you can get over it, before you can heal from it, right? And so again, this exercise, write down all those things. After you've written it down, you can do the release thing and you can tear it up. You can burn it. You can do what you want with it to let it go. But you are recognizing, the important part is you are recognizing that really has been with me for a long time. And I'm finally ready to let that go. I've been angry at my mother for a long time. I've been angry at my dad. I've been angry at, my ex. I've been angry at God. I've been angry at myself for letting myself down. One of the biggest people we have to forgive is ourselves, because we have let ourselves down in many ways, and we know it. We know we could have done better. We know what we should have done, right? So we're angry at ourselves. You have to forgive yourself, right? So by writing these things down, that's a powerful tool. So of acknowledgement, and like you said, for our, so these are practical things that you can do. And what's going to be the harm in trying? Try it. Try it for 30 days. You'll be amazed. You start to feel better. You start to feel better. It may be that you need to confront some people.
Yeah.
You may need to confront some people. You may need to say, hey, you know what, Mom, listen, I've gone through this self-study, and been angry. I'd like you to just listen to me first for a few minutes without talking, and say your piece. Can you just let me say my piece? I don't even need a response. Sometimes you just want to say your piece, and I forgive you, and I'm moving on, and I'm letting that stuff go. And I want to let you know. Give them a hug. Well, I mean, it may be that you need to confront some people. You have to find your ways of dealing with these things as an adult. As adults, we have to take charge. This whole thing is about taking charge of your life. Okay, taking charge of your life means you have the power. You have the power to live this great life, to live this mediocre life, to live this bad life. It's up to you, right? And so, but when you realize that you have the power to take actions, to use your habits, your words, to use all these gifts that God has given you, that nobody's talking about, right? Nobody, nobody. You say, if you say what, that's why this taking inventory of the miracle of yourself is important. Taking the inventory, man. What do you know? I'm really good at drawing. Do you know I'm really, really perceptive when I talk to people? I have certain gifts. We all have individual gifts that the other one may not have as much, so that we're unique. I can't do what you do. You can't do what she does. She can't do what he does. And so when you start to realize your unique gifts and really start to accentuate those, they're going to lead you down a path of your purpose.
Yeah.
I use these gifts in a positive way to help my family, my community, the world. And once you start living in that purpose, we're using your gifts, guarantee you'll never have a bad day. But many people never discover their gifts. They never really reveal to themselves their real gifts. Part of it is lack of exposure. If you're not exposed to lots of different things, how would a kid growing up in the hood ever know that he's a born mechanical engineer, a born astrophysicist? How would he ever know? He don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Right? But if you put him in an environment where they were doing that work, or you open up that book or hit that video for him, his brain would just naturally go, no.
What is that?
I don't know why I understand that. I don't know why I gravitate to that, but I get that. I may flunk English, but I get that. And once you get your natural gift and start working in that area, it's all done. It's over.
Now, would you say also finding is an easy way of finding a natural gift is indulging yourself in hobbies?
Well, it's in taking account of what you think you're good at, right? What am I good at? What am I not good at, et cetera? And not being over judgmental with what you're not good at, but just start thinking about your strengths. What am I strong at? What have I always ask some other people? What do you think I'm good at? For people who know you well. Well, man, some people sometimes you don't see yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you should be doing. You don't seem to know what you should be doing. Right. So it's in identifying it, and then it's getting exposure to new things. Yeah. Because you have to be exposed to new things. Why do the kids in the hood want to be a basketball player, a rapper, or a football player?
That's all they're introduced to.
They see. That's all they see. Successful black people. If you saw a successful astrophysicist or successful mechanical engineer, you might ask him a question and say, "What would you do, man?" Right? But you don't see it, so therefore, if you don't see it, how are you going to be it?
Yeah.
This is where the modeling comes in, the same way the children model after the parents. But guess what? I tell them, I say, your grandparents did not have what you had. You have in your phone or in your laptop or in your iPad, you have every piece of information. You have Harvard University at your disposal. You don't need $1 million to go to college? You've got college on your phone. The question is, how are you spending your time? Chilling,
Right? Chilling.
hanging with the fellas.
Yeah.
How are you spending your time? So it's all in here. You can get any exposure you want. You can travel the whole world right here, right? The question is, you have to have a level of curiosity. Learn to Google. Learn to Google. Right? When you Google certain things, so you try to understand yourself, you say it'll take you 5 minutes to say, not interested in that, not interested in that. And then all of a sudden you find something, you go, I want to watch that show. I want to watch that program. And you start to figure out what you're good at, what you're interested in. It's this curiosity. You have to have a curiosity about yourself and a drive and again, it starts with that value. How do you see yourself? And if you see yourself as I know I have a value, I know I have a purpose, I know God made me perfect. There's something I can do out here. I can be a millionaire. I can have a beautiful family. Okay, now let's get to work. Every day we spend time researching, Googling, learning. Every day. What we got better do? Go hang out? What's more important? So when you start to say, well, once you see yourself as valuable, and you're going to get to your goals. What are the goals for my life? I can't tell you what your goals are. You have to determine what is it you want out of life. And if I ask you the question a little differently, what would you do or what would you want if you knew you couldn't fail? Getting back to that, we're so afraid of failing, we won't even write it down. But if you believe that anything is possible, and not only is it possible, but it's possible for you, because nobody's better than you. God gave us all an equal value. It's how you develop yourself and use what God gave you that's going to determine your marketplace value. Okay. So if you know that it's possible for you and you just get to work saying, okay, what are my goals? I said, listen, you want to live with your mama for the rest of your life in that apartment? Or do you want your own apartment? Or do you want a townhouse? Do you want a townhouse in a nice neighborhood or the hood? Do you want a single family home? Do you want a mansion? Do you want to live on the beach? What's your housing goal?
Yeah.
Nobody's saying you're going to get to the top goal immediately, but you have that in your mind. One day I want to live, so I'm going to progressively build to that point. What's your goal for your family? I want to be happily married for a long period of time with a bunch of kids, or I'm going to be by myself. And why? And I question the people who say I want to be by myself, because a lot of people, again, they're modeling their fears, their doubts are not that they don't want to have a beautiful family and be happy. It's I haven't seen that. My parents, were never. I've never seen a successful relationship. I've never seen, a Black couple that was happy, healthy, and whole, that were, loving on each other and growing together. I've never seen it. And plus I've had negative relationships. Men have always dogged me out, or women have always dogged me out, or, whatever has happened. This is the pattern that we have seen in our community. Yeah. So therefore I don't think it's possible. So therefore I'm not going to write that down because I haven't seen it. Okay. Again, more exposure. Go Google beautiful families, been married 50 years, living the life, Google it. Everything exists out here. Every possibility of everything exists. And your choice is, what do you want for yourself? So when you're writing these goals down, what do you want for yourself? What do you see for yourself? And you start to build to that. You start to visualize yourself winning. What do we do when we're kids on the basketball court? We down by 1. Ben got the ball. He's dribbling. 5, 4, 3, 2. He hits the game winner. You visualize yourself winning. Visualization is a technique for your mind. Visualization is a technique. You see yourself married with this happy family, living on the beach, or whatever it is your goal is. You have to see it. You have to believe it. This is where the faith comes in. You know, what is faith? You know, people say, well, I don't go, I'm not, I mean, I don't believe in all that church stuff. I don't even believe in God. Okay. Well, guess what? You still have faith. You still have faith. I said, because it takes faith to get up and go down the street in the morning. You could get hit by a truck. You may catch a stray bullet. Some people are scared to stay in the bed all day. So you live with faith. We drive down the road every day, and it's about a foot between the car coming this way to you and you going down. It's about a foot distance. That's how fragile life is. We all live on the fragility of life is so important to understand that one bad germ could take us out.
Yeah, COVID.
You know, that all of us mentally could fall into a depression if we were to allow that. Right? You know, your grandma dies, you know, you lost your job, you can go into your room, close those curtains up, and next thing you know, you in a full-on depression. Or you could say, you know what, I need family around me. I need support. I need to go out for a walk in the sun. I need to condition myself, right? I know the things that make me mentally strong, and I can see the pitfalls that make me mentally weak, physically, spiritually. These are all under our control. They're not random. They're not outside of us. Oh, this happened, so therefore I'm depressed. Something bad happened, right? Things happen to us all the time. How do we respond to the things that are happening to us? Something could happen. The same thing could happen to 10 people, 10 different responses. 10 different responses. What are those responses based on? Your mindset. Physical, emotional, spiritual, strength and mindset.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm amazed. Let me just tell you that, you know, none of us are perfect. None of us are superhuman. Sometimes, and this is where role models come in. Sometimes I look at certain people and I say, that lady lost her child and she's out here saving all these other children, or she's dedicated her life. You can use that pain. You can use that something that could hurt you and turn it into your power.
Yeah.
So, you know, other people just break them. My son got killed. I'm going to kill myself. That's a response. Nobody go blame you. But why did you make that decision? Based on your awareness, based on your consciousness, based on how you've built yourself up to think.
And you want to know what's crazy? Even talking about that even brings me into my last question for you. Because as we talk about this makes me also think about mentorship. And like we're saying, as a community too, for Black men, Black women, everybody. But this question is mainly for Black men because what I've seen, I went to military school, so I've learned about this term that I'm about to express right now. But I've seen it in Bloods, Crips, gang members, government officials, and CEOs. But my question to you is, in a world of men, when it comes to working together as men, why do we follow the rule of chain of command, and why is it so important in our brotherhood?
Well, so I would say that, you know, in terms of chain of command, depending upon the organization, the structure, right, there has to be leadership, right? Let's all get in the car and let's go, you know, to church today. Okay, well, one driver. We ain't all driving the car. Right? We can't all drive the car. So that's a way of leadership. I say, but within that car, there's different parts of leadership. I may be the driver, but not know where I'm going. You the navigator, right? You know, maybe the person in the back saying the prayer. Maybe the other person brought some snacks for the long ride. You know, so there's different types of leadership that we bring together, make for the strength of the community. So we're all leaders. Everyone has leadership in them, depending on the situation and the circumstances, right? That driver has a heart attack. Guess what? Somebody else got to drive the car, right? So you know, depending, you may have to step up. We have these wonderful Black women who are leading single family households, or Black men, and guess what? They got to fill two roles. They mommy and daddy. Gotta step up. So they'd ask for it. So sometimes, that leadership is thrust upon you, right? But recognizing that we are all leaders, recognizing that you have leadership. I don't care if you're soft spoken, you still can be a leader. I don't care if you're not as educated, you can still be a leader. You know what I mean? We all have leadership qualities in us, and we can continue to develop those qualities. The same, a lot of times people are so worried about degrees or certain specific skill sets. There are a lot of the soft skills that go into leadership, right? Being a great communicator is a leader, right? It's a very specific thing to be a great communicator and being able to inspire people, being able to get people to do what you want them to do. Meaning, and to, so we've all had different bosses. And you say, well, okay, why was this boss a better boss than this boss? Oh, he was down there in the trenches with us. He led by example. Other guy just sat up in the office, told us what to do. This guy cared about us. This guy asked about our families. He knew my kids' names. He knew what was going on with me. He could look at me and tell me I wasn't feeling good today, and give me a sick day. I said, other one didn't care, man. You better go do that job. So there are all types of different leaders and leadership skills. So, the same way we talked about modeling, and you're talking about mentorship. So let's talk about, that modeling. So, listen, we should all have mentors. Everybody, any age, any level, we should all have mentors and multiple mentors. And when I say that, I mean, so this is where there's a chapter in the book. It's called Teamwork Makes the Dream Work.
Yep, read that.
You a bad man, you a bad lady. You can do a lot on your own, but you're never going to go as far as you can go with leading a team or being part of a team. And so if you said LeBron James and Steph Curry are two of the best ballers on the planet, but how many support people they have? They got a shooting coach, they got a conditioning coach, they got a dietitian, they got a mindset coach. I said, so all of us, if they need all that help at the top of their game, what kind of help do we need? So we all need a team around us. It doesn't mean it's an official team or anything, but it's how do you say, okay, I have an issue on my heart. I have something I need to share, to express, to get out of me, to ask for counsel on. Who do I go to? That may be what you might call your spiritual team or your advisor. It may or may not be your best friend. It may or may not be your mom. She may not have that skill set or that relationship with you, but you need that person in your life. So you have to find that person in your life. The same way you find the best doctor for you, the best lawyer for you, the best accountant for you as a business in your life. Here's my go-to person when I have something on my heart. Here's my go-to person when I need financial advice. Here's my go-to person when I need to go work out or get in the gym. We go hold each other accountable and be, gym partners or whatever. We all need multiple people in our lives. And as far as mentorship, and you're looking for, hey, who's going to help me get to the next level, right? You say, hey, if I have a business mentor or a professional mentor, a educational mentor, who is that person? Who do you, if you said, I don't really believe in reinventing the wheel, right? There's all these models out here. So if you said, even if you put together, I would like to have maturity like Mr. Jones, the way he deals with people, the way he carries himself. I just like how he carries himself. I like how the guy in the barbershop, I like his communication skills, how he speaks. They don't have to be official mentors to you, but you can spend some time with them. Hey man, can I take you for a cup of coffee? Man, I really appreciate what you do. You were an example to me. You're a role model for me. I really see how you conduct yourself, and I really appreciate that. And just it opens up doors for you. Hey man, anytime you want to talk, come on. I love to talk to you. It's opening your mouth and being, getting some communication going with people. Opening, it's connecting. The word I'm looking for is connections. You connect. It's not just talking; it's connecting and connecting. So there are a lot of parts of communication. Like listening is a big part of communication, not just talking. Everyone wants to get their point across. And so we're busy interrupting each other. Instead of just listening. Sometimes in a meeting or certain situations, I'll say, you know what? This is how we're going to do this. We're going to have a timer. And we're going to hit the timer. So you're arguing all the time with your old lady. Let's present some house rules for how we're going to have this dialogue. You get 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I get 2 minutes. Or maybe you start off with a 5 minute. You want to go off for a little while? Yeah, I give you 5 minutes. Then you give me 5 minutes. And then we'll go back and forth for 2 minutes or 1 minute. Whatever it is, it's saying, hey, I'm going to be respectful and listen while you're speaking and try to understand what you're saying, really. It could be some pauses built in for thinking. Let's reflect. Let me really try to understand what you're asking questions. Asking powerful questions and open-ended questions is very important, right? So